Okay, so today I know you all are going to love this story. It's called The Story of the Little Mole Who Knew It Was None of His Business. And it's by a man called Werner Holzwarth and illustrated by a man called Wolf ErlbruchSomeone. Let's have a read of this cheeky little story. Let's have a look. The story of the little mole who knew it was none of his business. And there he is. I wonder what he's got on his head. I think you know. One day, the little mole poked his head out from underground to see whether the sun had already risen. Then it happened. It looked like a little sausage, and the worst thing was, it landed right on his head. How mean, cried the little mole. Who has done this on my head? So do you think someone's done a poo on his head? But he was so short-sighted, he couldn't see anyone around. Did you do this on my head? He asked the dove who was flying past. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this. Look, there's some seagull poo. Or some dove poo, but we know it looks similar to a seagull's poo. Splish, plush, a moist white blob landed on the ground right next to the little mole. His right leg was splashed with white. Did you do this on my head? He asked the horse who was grazing in the pasture. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, and flump, plump, 5 big fat honey apples plopped down within a hair's breadth of the mole. He was very impressed. That's a horse's poo. That's what a horse's poo looks like. Definitely doesn't look like what's on the mole's head. So it couldn't have been the horse. Let's see who else could have done this to the mole. Did you do this on my head? He asked the hare. Me? How could I? I do it like this. And rat-a-tat-tat, 15 little round beans shot past the mole's ears. He saved himself with a daring leap. Look, he's leapt off the page. And there's the hare. Definitely wasn't the hare that pooped on the mole's head, was it? Did you do this on my head? He asked the goat, who had been dreaming a little. Me? How could I? I do it like this, she replied. And plippity-plop, a pile of toffee-coloured little balls tumbled onto the grass. The little mole found them almost appealing. Wasn't the goat. Did you do this on my head? He asked the cow who was chewing the cud. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this. Kersplosh, a big brownish green pancake flopped onto the grass just next to the mole. He was very relieved it hadn't been the cow who had done something like this on his head. Let's see who he's going to ask next. Did you do this on my head? He asked the pig. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, replied the pig. And plop, splat, a little soft brown pile fell onto the grass. Oh, the mole held his nose. Whew! It stinks. Did you do this on my... He was going to ask again, but as he came closer, he only saw 2 big, fat, black flies, and they were eating. Oh, didn't they were eating the poo? Oh, the mole said, at last, someone who'll be able to help me, thought the mole. Who do you think did this on my head? Keep nice and still, buzzed the flies. Bzzz. buzz. There was a short pause. Bzzz. Yep, it is clear to us that it was a dog. Finally, the mole knew who had done the business on his head. Basil, the butcher's dog. Having a nice sleep now. Quick as a flash, he climbed onto Basil's kennel and pling, a tiny black sausage landed right on top of the dog's head. It was the little mole getting his revenge. Satisfied at last, the little mole disappeared happily into his hole underground.